I'm Diana Sinovic,
And I'm Suzanne Mattaboni.
and we're here to talk about Crime Fiction Month. So we'll start out by Suzanne. What would be your favorite crime novel to suggest for Crime Fiction Month?
I would have to say In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I'm going kind of for a classic, maybe that kind of goes back to my roots. But I would recommend that mostly because it's really beautifully written. It kind of verges almost on literary fiction, and Truman Capote turned it into sort of a novel that he was calling kind of new journalism, even though it's a true story based on, of course, horrible murders that happened in Kansas in the 1960s. But in general, it was almost like the birth of creative nonfiction. I think he called it new journalism, which was more like him creating dialogue and imagining what the scenes would be, but sticking to as many facts of the case as he could. So it really has some lovely language in it, despite the fact that it's just about this horrific event. So, I always have some things that, conflict as far as I write romantic relationship stories, and I write horror and crime and gore stories too. So I like that kind of juxtaposition. How about
Yeah,
you? Like, what
cool.
is your suggestion for a crime?
Well, let's see. For Crime Fiction Month, I think I would dip back maybe even farther back and go with The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. And the reason I'd say that is because, well, I call it a classic, just like In Cold Blood, but fiction. And it was the first of 6 novels that Chandler wrote, featuring what really turned out to be a quintessential detective, Philip Marlowe. And then, of course, it was made into a fabulous movie as well. So likewise, I write horror and paranormal, a little bit of mystery. So I think that your choice is great. What you have a story in the new Noir Anthology. What's the name of it?
Yeah, well, the story is called Pride Goeth Before, and that's for the Hard Boiled and Loaded with Sin anthology that we're
Yes.
in. And it's a little gory, but there is, crime in there, of course. But it kind of is based on, I've done a few stories based on true life kind of Ripley's Believe It or Not type of deaths, which is weird and almost makes me feel a little guilty and like looking this stuff up and studying these terrible things that people destroyed themselves with. But in any case, it's an interesting story. And how about you? You're in the anthology also. So what's your story?
Yeah, mine is called Profit and Loss, and it has a little bit to do with greed and maybe addiction, and maybe stepping into places where a person shouldn't go. So hopefully,
Well,
hopefully it'll be
definitely sounds
enjoyable.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sounds great. Yeah, I hope everybody gets to read the anthology and
Mhm.
get into some juicy crime month stories.